And a happy Wednesday afternoon from McCoy Stadium, our exclusive coverage of the Boston Red Sox Taxi Squad. It is presented by Bank of America. Hashtag SimCity as we're live on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We want to thank our great production team of Joe Jacobs, Tim Quidadamo, Alex Richardson, running our high home camera, Dan the Man Fontaine, Josh Mauer sitting in the director's chair. We thank Josh for hitting all the right buttons, and Jim Kane to my left as we socially distance ourselves. So a little bit of an earlier start here today, Jim, and we'll have Robert Stock beginning things.
Yeah, Robert Stock, a guy who has bounced back and forth between the big leagues and here at the alternate site, a guy who's got a big arm, as we have seen a few different times here at McCoy. He throws really hard. He can reach triple digits, and it was really a numbers crunch when he got sent back down last week in favor of Kyle Hart making his big league debut. So it'll be interesting to see if he can light up the radar gun to start things off here again today.
Hey, Josh, an earlier start makes sense with some roster moves and the Red Sox playing right now and heading on a road trip after their game.
Yeah, they've got a travel, Mike, after the game against the Phillies up at Fenway Park this afternoon, and so because of that, it makes sense for the Red Sox to have the option for any of these guys playing with the taxi squad to have the time to get up there and travel with the team if they're so needed.
And we know we won't go extra innings. We're scheduled for 3.5.
And even if they were needing to go extra innings, they could just adjust it.
A controlled environment here for simulated games. They hit in groups. We don't always have 9 fielders, and sometimes we have that.
Whoa.
As Connor Wong hits the deck. And that's how our Wednesday begins. Well, if Connor Wong did not have any caffeine, he's awake.
I was trying to think, did anybody like Connor Wong swing at a 3-0 pitch and hit a home run yesterday?
Oh, man. We're expected to see Jeffrey Springs for 3 innings. Stock, Tapia, Alvarez, and Blair 1 apiece. On somewhat a cool afternoon, almost 80. It's popped up into short left center field. Yairo Munoz all the way out. And Munoz does not make the catch, but sometimes they call an outs. There they do not, as we have no left fielder. By the way, did you guys see the catch Manny Machado made?
That was unbelievable, huh?
I mean, he was pretty far down the right field line.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I saw a headline. I didn't see it. I think the reason that was allowed to be a hit is because Duran was a guy who could have theoretically had a play, maybe should have. Instead, it was the shortstop that went all the way out there to try to catch that ball that Connor Wong just hit.
C.J. Chatham takes a ball outside from Robert Stock, who has pitched in the big leagues, was promoted on the 11th. He has thrown almost 30 pitches in the big leagues at 100, and that's a slider outside. He's a very interesting guy. Red Sox claimed him off waivers late July. Chatham waits for it, bloops it into short right field. Puello with a decoy. It won't fool anyone. Hong takes the turn. Good base running there. Now, doesn't it make it obvious that the ball is dropping when you throw your glove up like that?
Yeah, I never really understood that. Why outfielders decide to deke out the runners, as they call it. It never works.
Well, they don't catch a ball like that.
They
right?
never catch it that way, and you can clearly tell if you read it properly that the ball's going to drop.
But they couldn't get up. They couldn't pretend they were under it, because then they would lose sight of the ball. But
Well, I guess it's better than nothing, right? You do your best to try to make the runner think you're going to catch the ball, even though, as you say, maybe that's just the dead giveaway.
And maybe someone falls for it. Well, we see Chatham and Downs play up the middle and switch positions between short and second. They'll bat back-to-back. And a fastball is up and in. So Wong and Chatham with singles.
And neither of them were hit hard. Couple of bloopers. Tough break for Robert Stock here at the outset today.
We thank you for joining us on Facebook. Comment, share, and like our post on Periscope thanks to Twitter, as Downs with a pop-up infield fly called. Just kidding. And there's 1 out. But sometimes outs are irrelevant. If you're new, they'll go with pitch limits for guys. So we see innings end. Well, yesterday we saw an inning end on a 3-1 count, which I think was a first. That was Bandy, I believe.
If there are things that we haven't seen yet, I'm sure we will by the time we are done with these simulated games.
So now Bandy in to face Stock, who has pitched with the Padres as well, and he goes with that breaking ball away.
A lot of sliders so far for Stock.
Yeah, when he was pitching in Boston, he threw a lot too. Starting off these hitters, like you said, Jim. That'd be good old number 3, right? Fastball, curve, slider, depends on the pitcher. That's inside. Stock is another guy who used indie ball to get back to the big leagues in 17. He was with the New Jersey Jackals. That's a great name.
I used to work in the league that the New Jersey Jackals played in. Back when
Father
I was
us.
working in it, it was called the Northeast League. Then later became the Can-Am.
So when you were in that league, did they have a team in Canada at the time?
Yes.
Quebec?
It was the Quebec Les Capitales. What a great name, huh?
Did you go there? Yeah.
I was the studio guy, so I was stuck in the WBET studios in Brockton, Mass.
Bandy takes way inside.
WBET was a AM station based in Brockton that was in the same building as the Brockton Enterprise, the local newspaper, but nobody was ever in the building at night when the games would go on, so I would be there by myself running the board with a cat.
Oh, boy.
Me and the cat, Ed.
This one's up and into Bandy, and he walks to load the bases. Now, did they have really cheesy jingles? This is the dorky radio talk now. BET, right?
Yep.
Bet on us. We did, no?
That's something,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
I don't remember that, but I remember Ed the cat because he only had 3 legs.
Oh, man, radio is
We hung
something.
out, me and the 3-legged cat. You know why they had a cat?
Keep
Because
the
there was a mouse
of course,
problem,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
At a radio station, wow.
Ed the cat. That's great.
Ed. Downs hits again. He just hit, and that's inside.
What a name for a cat.
Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
guess it's as good as any, right, Jim?
It was between Ed and Whiskers. They picked Ed.
The Brockton Rocks won the Northeast League Championship, by the way, that season. I still have a ring to prove it.
Bring it in. Good pitch. Strike.
Funny story about that. My last name is spelled incorrectly on that championship ring that I have. Pretty much epitomized that whole season for me and the experience. I kid. It was fun.
The hits keep on coming. Well, Stock has allowed 2 soft singles and a walk. And there's a strike. You know what else, Jim? Sometimes in these sim games, when they do roll over innings, I wonder what the pitchers feel like. You'd have to think Stock wants to get out of this on his own, but it is about his arm as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation for him because he's used to playing in a real game up in Boston. And now he's facing a guy for the second time in an inning in a span of 5 batters.
Good pitch, swing and a miss. Good fastball down and away. Now, he's an older guy, so they might let him loose a little more than they did Mata. I think Wong's going to hit. That's why he's coming off a third, or nope, they're going to end the inning. Okay? So, Robert Stock, who not too long ago pitched in the big leagues with the Red Sox against the Tampa Rays, that was 8 days ago. And that half inning results in 2 singles and a walk and a strikeout.
It was like using an opener, Mike.
It was. Jeffrey Springs will start this one, expecting to go 3 innings. Another guy that's been in Boston. This is all presented by Bank of America. Mike, Jim, and Josh, we thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. Red Sox are playing right now, and boy, last night was a tough one. 12 runs off the bullpen, 4 homers, but that Philly lineup is really good.
Yeah, that top half of the lineup is really good. I mean, it all starts with Bryce Harper, obviously. Andrew McCutchen looks to be like the guy he was before the ACL injury a year ago. Reese Hoskins, too. I mean, you go on and on. Those are the headliners, but that is a deep Philly team. JT Realmuto, too.
Yeah.
How can you forget about him?
Yep. That is a very good club. Kyle Hart going today. Kyle Hart was pitching the last time, right, when we started? Didn't we start at 4 when he made his Major League debut?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The guys got to watch Kyle Hart pitching from the Fenway Park mound as they played their sim game here from the McCoy Stadium diamond. And they were standing out there rooting for their old teammate. Jeffrey Springs has been up there too, Mike.
Yeah, he has. So 2 guys that will be pitching here. Springs pitched the day before Stock on the 10th against Tampa, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs. 4 games in Boston. all in relief. But the opportunity is going to be there for guys here. We've seen it a lot. And maybe it's for somebody new. Maybe R.J. Alvarez, Seth Blair get a chance. I thought Billy McMillan, Josh, had some really good things to say about Seth Blair.
He was impressed with that three-quarter arm slot that he uses and the velocity that he's able to generate on his fastball from it. Generally, when you're throwing from that kind of side, you're only touching either upper 80s, maybe lower 90s on your fastball, but we've seen Blair go to the mid to upper 90s from a three-quarter. So that is very intriguing, I know, for Billy and for the rest of the coaching staff here at the alternate training site. Look forward to seeing him pitch later today.
Jim, it's amazing how well he can replicate his delivery throwing with different arm slots. Obviously, he's had a lot of practice at it.
Yeah, and this is a guy who was a former first-round pick, too, so let's not forget that fact that this guy is very talented. Obviously, there was that hiatus from baseball that he had, but it's encouraging to see even after that break, he still has that talent.
Red Sox did make some roster moves right before the game started today, too, Mike.
Yeah, Christian Arroyo reinstated from the injured lists. Marcus Walden was optioned here, and Mike Schwarn was DFA'd, as they say. So he could clear. Left on lefts, Marco takes a ball.
It'll be interesting to see how the Schwarn time in the Netherlands, the time between when you're waived and you find out whether or not another team has claimed you. We'll see how that's handled, because generally you're not allowed to be around your organization.
Yeah. There's a pop-up left side. Munoz going a long ways, and he's got it. Not surprising at all.
And it's also interesting, too, guys, because who knows whether or not the decision will be made to add the 15 players to this player pool at the alternate site. I know there was some talk about that. So if that's to happen in the next couple of days or so, maybe we'll see Mike back here at this alternate training site. You just don't know.
And, geez, even if he clears, Jim, they might keep him in the player pool. They could do that. I presume that would still be an option.
Juan Centeno against Springs. Fastball's down, says Bruce Crabb. He is umpiring. It's a nice shot of Centeno.
I always thought it was crazy if a player got waived, which is essentially what DFAing is. You're in AA or AAA. Let's say you're on a road trip. You have to stay at the hotel when the team is at the ballpark. You're not even allowed to be in the clubhouse with the guys.
I was going to say, I remember 2 or 3 years ago when Sean Coyle got DFA'd in Binghamton, New York, and we had to call the bus driver and say he can't even be here.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird deal.
Overhand wind, Springs. And it's fouled off of Centeno.
Boy, look how far that ground ball went off of his foot.
That's some kind of carry. But do you think maybe with what's going on that they'll let Schwarn stay with COVID? Just to be safer?
Yeah, I was wondering. I haven't heard the protocols for it, but that was kind of my thought process in even just bringing it up. Is it would seem to make sense that this year, more than any other year, you shouldn't have to go AWOL.
And it's even that way in trades. I've seen post-game trades where that player has to be out. They're out of there. I mean, they're property of the other organization. Good pitch. Fooled him with a breaking ball, and Billy McMillan says no swing.
Oof.
He gives the safe call. What do you think, Jim? I thought that was a strike.
I think Centeno got the benefit of the doubt there. Meanwhile, up at Fenway, the first 3 Phillies have reached against Kyle Hart to load the bases.
I figured not watching it would bring luck, but I watched the first 3, so I'll stop. Springs misses high and away with a fastball. Boy, it's an early start today. We tell you every day that we're going on at 4 today, 1:30. We've got a ton of people already locked in on Facebook. We thank you for that. A shift to the right side, 1 outfielder, and it's fouled back. A lot of sports going on.
You know, that's the one nice thing about all these professional leagues that had been on hiatus coming back at the same time. You've got games going on all times of the day, afternoon, evening, later into the night. You can, as a sports fan, sit on your couch all day. It's a delight.
Especially a Boston sports fan. It lines up perfectly for you today. Red Sox and Bruins and then Celtics.
Good at that here by Centeno, and he takes it right down the middle. So Centeno will go to the other dugout. How about the 8 seeds in the NBA winning? I know people love that the Lakers lost. But can they sustain that? the both 8 seeds.
I think it's interesting because in a normal year, if you get that upset as the 8 seed or just any lower seed in the first couple of games of the best of 7, then you'd have the home court advantage.
Oh, yeah.
When you get home, you'd take it with you, but it's not going to be the case in a bubble in the NBA or the NHL. I think that actually kind of hurts the chances for the upset moving forward because you're never going to get a home game.
Big power hitting Dahlbeck takes it outside. Springs is 27, grew up in Belmont, North Carolina, originally a Texas Ranger. Draft pick, got to the big leagues with the Rangers.
Hey, a low round pick, right, Mike?
30th, which we won't have anymore, outside. Now, could sports ever sustain playing games at 1 o'clock with fans down the road? With the NBA ever considering having 4 games in one day? It would be good for TV, maybe.
Yeah, not in the middle of the week, though,
No.
you wouldn't think.
Swing and a miss. Dahlbeck a little behind that fastball. Great article today. Alex Spear talking about Jaron Duran and how he's adjusted his swing. I think he's looked great in the games we've seen. Could be an option down the road. It's filed back with Pilar and Bradley being free agents.
I know we talked about how he has lowered his hands in the batter's box. He last year had them high up above the shoulders. Now he's got them below the shoulders, and they feel that gives him some more power. And, I mean, that was on full display yesterday with the home run he hit here to right field.
He ripped that ball past the bullpen.
Yeah. Well, you put a real charge in that. There's a ground ball knocked down nicely. And Springs recovers and gets Dahlbeck. And we'll just make sure he's done. Sometimes they let these guys get 4 outs. A perfect frame. So we played 1 inning here at Sim City on a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon at McCoy. And now these messages from our great sponsor, Bank of America.
We are entering a new chapter in our lives. Our confidence is shaken, cracked. We didn't ask for it, but we are rising to meet it. And how far we've come isn't even close to how far we can go. There's a crack in everything for a reason. How else can the light get in? Tomorrow starts today.
All right, we tell you this. There are no rules here in Sim City. The schedules that we get are probable pitchers and innings. We thought Stock would go 1. He's back out there. You just never know from day to day. I kind of like it, too. It's unpredictable. So Stock will throw another inning. There is action in the bullpen in left fields. Stock in that first inning, 2 soft hits, a pop-up, a walk, a strikeout. And Jaron Duran, who we talked about, will lead off what we call the top of the second here in these simulated games. What happens, they hit in groups. Sometimes you'll see guys hit on the top of the inning, the bottom of the inning.
I actually asked Billy McMillan if he's making a concerted effort to get all the position players similar amounts of at-bats every day, and he said kind of.
You had good questions yesterday. You had a lot.
Well, I was looking out for the 3 of us.
Yeah.
The things that we've been wondering, I decided I would just ask Billy and see what he had to say about it. He said, yeah, we try to get it to be a similar amount of plate appearances at least for each of the guys. But I thought the interesting part of his response, when he puts the batting groups together, he's always going to have the catchers hit more early because they may start the game as players and then end the game as bullpen catchers. So if they're going to get their number of plate appearances equivalent to the other guys, they got to get them in while they can.
Good point. He said Bandy had the most at-bats yesterday. So here is Duran. And once again, it shows you how the minor leagues has certainly grown in popularity in New England. There's a lot of people who know Jaron Duran. Big league beat writers writing about you.
I was going to say, a lot more people know about him today than they did yesterday, probably after they picked up their copy of the Globe this morning.
And Jim, he played in an inter-squad game at Fenway against Toronto, where apparently he was unreal. And that really opened eyes. Good for him.
Yeah, he certainly did. I think a lot of people were impressed with just how he played the outfield.
Oh, and Chatham came in and has that kick off his glove. I almost see that coming, the way he charged that. We'll give that an error. I think Chatham would too. That's a play you got to make.
Yeah, he's usually so sure-handed. Most of the time at shortstop, but we've seen him get plenty of reps at second base. That time just flat out punched it.
I was going to say, Jim, it didn't look like a bad hop or anything. It just clanged off his glove there. Maybe just a little lapse of concentration for a moment. He made a great play the other day. Remember that sliding grab to his left playing second base to Rob Marco?
There's a strike where he was in the shifts, and then he was the only one on that side. He was on the left side. That's the thing, too, when you move a shortstop to second. Has that good arm, that good range. They play straight up for Jonathan Lucroy. Stock delivers. And that's a strike on the inner part. I think they're playing around with the walk-up songs today, too, because Lucroy had a very interesting walk-up song. I saw him smile down there.
I had heard that might be part of the plan at some point this week. Nice pickoff throw there by Stock. That was a quick move.
Very quick.
But yeah, they're trying to keep things as loose and as, I guess, ever-changing as possible, as best they can, when everything just seems like Groundhog Day for the most part.
You know, I think, too, if just switching up a game time, all of a sudden, okay, wait, we got to play earlier. Changes your mindset a little bit.
Billy McMillan did make the request, I know, to the production folks in the McCoy press box about trying to get these guys a little bit of humor out of their walk-up songs. And apparently today is the day that they are doing that.
Now, we could do themes like TV shows, classic TV shows. All Soprano. No, Sopranos only has that great open. But they had good songs in that show.
Well, if you're going to do TV shows, I'd love to do a walk-up music marathon to different game show themes.
That would be good.
That would be fun.
Good jump by Duran as Lucroy pops it up behind the plate. Centeno has got it. Good communication, too. Stock helping out.
Yeah, you can hear him say from up here, you've got room, you've got room. And when you have an empty stadium like this with no fans, you can hear things like that.
And, Jim, it's kind of neat that we can hear those things from up here.
How about this walk-up song for Yairo Munoz?
He's saying right now, are you kidding me? To Centeno. In Spanish.
Dios mío.
Is that how you say it?
No me digas.
See. Yairo takes a strike. Quick throw to first. Duran is there, and we'll see if he's running. And Duran's got to play it how he would in a game. Munoz just confirming that strike call. Yeah, Duran is electric running the bases, too. Good pitch. Slider away. Had him way out in front.
If the last couple of days is any indication that we're going to see guys like Duran taking off when they get the opportunity. You mentioned it during the last at-bat. Before the foul out, he was off. They've been aggressive of late. If that's your thing, Billy wants you to do it.
That was right down the middle.
Look at Munoz's face.
Well, I think Stock is he's planting the seed with that slider, and that really helps his fastball. I mean, he had Munoz there all messed up.
It's like he's pitching backwards, because typically, traditionally, you would start off with fastballs, but more often than not today, he's been starting guys off with sliders and then finishing them off with the fastball.
Now, Remy and Eckersley were talking about that. They said nowadays, who knows what you're getting in a hitter's count. Akami cracks it to right, a base hit. Beautiful swing. Look at Durango. Easily to third base. Easily. I mean, he doesn't break a sweat. On a hard hit ball to right, Puello is deep. He easily went to third. I think it's fun watching guys run the bases, especially from up here.
Yeah, he took off a couple times in the previous at-bat, but there were foul balls, and he started and stopped on that pitch to Akami, and that ends up at third base rather easily, as you pointed out.
So Stock has yielded 3 base hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and he'll face Yairo Munoz again. No runs in this game. It's hit 2 downs, and that's an easy play. 6-4 on Akami. Completes the top of the second. As Stock nods to his catcher saying, nice job. on the Sim City Wednesday afternoon Red Sox and Phillies at Fenway. We have the Red Sox and Red Sox here at McCoy Stadium. It is all presented by Bank of America. Here we are. Thank you, Dan. I'm Mike. That's Jim, Josh. Directing. We all take turns directing. Today, Josh and I wrestled for the fact that to see who was going to direct.
See, the 1:30 games, too, also kind of throw off my eating habits, so I had to bring a lunch today. This normally would be my lunchtime, so depending on how quickly this game goes, maybe that'll be consumed at some point during the broadcast.
I think that means that in about 45 minutes, Jim's going to be hangry.
We revolve everything around food. There's TQ trying to make his way in.
I had requested him. I have a director's question. That's why.
We need to get a director's chair in there.
Wait, do that again, TQ.
Gotta bring in the expert.
One more time. There we go. There he is. Oh, nice mask.
Thank you, Dan. Dan's running high home. We're going to get Dan on camera at some point. It looks like Jeffrey Springs will not go 3 innings. No, Dan does not want to be on camera. Okay. He's worried about all of our female viewers. They'll end up emailing us so much once they see Dan on camera, right? So Springs goes 1 inning. And that's it. Expected to go 3. In the bottom of the seconds, Mike Antonellis, Jim Kane, Josh Mauer. We're at McCoy Stadium. And it looks like Seth Blair will come on. So a change of plans, Jim. It happens.
Yeah, talk about a change of plans. Huh? Everything's getting all mixed up today, huh?
Yeah.
We thought that Springs was going to throw 3 innings. At least that was according to the sheet that we were sent yesterday. Stock was only supposed to go 1 inning. He has pitched 2 so far, and now here's Seth Blair early. And the early start time, too, so everything's getting mixed up on us.
We said to Billy, the sheets. The sheets. We go by the sheets. Billy's great. I've known Billy a while from his times managing in Portland. Good baseball guy. He had a grand slam off of Roger Clemens that I remember him showing me one day on his computer. He's had some big hits, part of those A's teams that played the Red Sox. He was in the dugout in that controversial interference call with Miguel Tejada. So Seth Blair, who... What I'm amazed by, the first time Josh and I saw Blair, it was ridiculous. I think he threw 10 pitches. Okay, Marco, Puello, and Lucroy?
That's correct.
Okay.
It was exactly those 3 hitters, and he was 1 pitch away from an immaculate inning.
And they had no chance. It was unreal, the electric fastball.
Have you ever gotten to broadcast an immaculate inning? I know that's harder to remember than, say, did you ever broadcast a no-hitter?
Yeah.
I did it one time, as I recall, and it was Dellin Betances in the minor leagues.
Shocker, yeah.
Blair has that stuff that is really tough to pick up when it comes from that different arm slot, especially for the right-handed hitters. But the last time that he pitched, Mike, the control wasn't there. And I think that's going to be a question for this veteran. Can he command it all the time? Otherwise... you struggle if you don't locate, but if you do, this guy could be in the big leagues, I think, before we know it.
Be a good story, Jim. Took 4 years off. He's been a career minor leaguer. He's had a lot of injuries. He auditioned on YouTube to get this opportunity. And the opportunities are there in Boston.
I mean, talk about an interesting story. Not just the YouTube tryout video, but, I mean, he was the feature in a New York Times story about how he turned his backyard at his house in Arizona into a pseudo minor league complex for guys to work out during the coronavirus hiatus back in the spring. And now here he is with a chance to make a big league roster.
That's a great story. Love to see that happen. Cesar Puello will bat, and again, the lone wolf in the outfield is Duran. They play straight up for Puello, and Blair fires. There's that fastball. I just think it's crazy that he can throw from 2 different arm slots.
And that's a new thing, too, for him, just picking up that 3/4 slot, really within the last year or 2.
And that's inside. And, Jim, the way he steps towards right-handed hitters makes those hitters a little uncomfortable.
It's almost like RJ Alvarez, where he kind of comes at you with that cross-fire, cross-body delivery. It's an uncomfortable at bat for a right-handed hitter.
Yeah, imagine if Adam Ottavino threw 98. He really steps towards the hitter. Kind of slings it in, and over the top is inside to Puello.
That's a curveball, too. He throws a fastball and a curveball over the top. The fastball actually can be even greater velocity, which doesn't surprise you. But it's not that much. It's about 98 over the top, maybe 96 from the side.
And there's a strike. Good
Like that.
fastball there, yeah. When I hear 93, 94 now, you say, oh, that's it? A lot of these guys are throwing 98. Centeno and Bandy to swing it as they move this one up. Now, what feels like a cool day, that's up and in. With the weather being so hot the last few days, I mean, it's right now 79 degrees. It does not feel it, but I like it. That's what we do in New England, though. We always complain, no matter what, the weather. Next pitch. Oh, it hit him. Boy.
That's what I'm talking about. By trying to command that three-quarter arm slot fastball, and he just didn't have the release point there, Jim. He came off of his delivery and left it inside, and he plunked him.
Yeah, and even with the different arm slot, like that's just going to be so hard, especially, like I said, for a right-handed hitter to try to pick up. It just makes you so uncomfortable, and then that happens. You get plunked on the backside like Puello just did.
Do you think Juan Centeno has ever walked into the batter's box with YMCA playing before?
I'm going to say no, and if he says yes, he's lying. And he fouls it back. Centeno has been on Boston's three-man taxi squad, which they do on the road. Boy, what an interesting schedule for the Red Sox. Home for a day and a half. And now they stare Baltimore and Toronto following today's game. Check on the runner. Baltimore, Toronto playing today. Who would have thought, right? This is a huge series for Baltimore coming up. Even though the Red Sox are struggling, they want to take care of business against Boston, a team that's beat up on them a lot. Good fastball. Strike.
Red Sox trailing 2-0 as they bat in the bottom of the first.
Bobby Dahlbeck plays almost where a shortstop would, and it's fouled off. He was out in front of that one. It was a 25-minute top of the first.
Average, right?
Yeah.
Domingo Tapia throwing in the bullpen at the moment. You hope everything's okay with Jeffrey Springs, by the way, who looked very sharp, I thought, the one inning he was out there, Mike. In fact, much improved from what we had seen the first time here on Friday.
Yeah, he went a perfect inning. Had a strikeout of this guy who's batting right now. Puello, the runner at first.
Well, they talked about potentially having to have some guys go join the team when they make that road trip after the game today from Fenway, and maybe the way that Springs pitched, maybe he's in that conversation, so you just get him out of there.
Could have
Who
been
knows?
pre-planned, right, just to go one, fouled off. Maybe they had to change that.
Yeah, the bullpen's gotten beaten up a bit the past few days. How about Josh Taylor working back-to-back games for the first time, right out of the chute?
And maybe with Hart today, and there's still an unknown with him. Say he blows up and goes 2 innings. They haven't had any days off, and the bullpen has to eat 7 today. That messes you up for tomorrow. A half swing, little roller. Good call by Lucroy, and he throws him out. Gets Centeno.
He knew who the base runner was, too. That's a veteran like that. Jonathan Lucroy says, all right, I got the catcher running. I can take my time and just make sure.
Very composed.
You know, the other thing about the roster change today was that the Red Sox added an infielder. They added Christian Arroyo, and so they lose a pitcher with Walden being sent here. So they're one pitcher lower than they were even last night. So when you talk about a team that is looking for arms, you figure that there probably is going to be another move coming.
Well, they went, Sunday they went 3 innings because of the rain out, so they ate 6 Sunday, 5 yesterday. And if they had to go 4 or 5 today, that's even with all those pitchers. See, we figure things out a little bit, right? It took us till the second inning here. There. Bandy takes it low.
It's okay. It's called talking through your problems.
Yeah. Again, we'd love you to share our broadcasts if you're on Twitter. Easy to retweet, Facebook, like, comment, share. All presented by Bank of America.
I always thought that when Billy had suggested the alternate walk-up song day, which is what we're doing here this afternoon, I thought that maybe we could get the public involved. Maybe add some suggestions from the folks watching for the people here in the press box.
Good idea. Bandy cracks it to lefts where no one is. Cesar Puello races home. That ball almost goes into the bullpen. Solid shot for Jet Bandy in our first run of the afternoon. Good swing off of Blair.
Was a good swing. It's a guy who, as we talked about earlier, had the most at-bats yesterday, and you got to think the more at-bats you get, the more comfortable you get, and that was a very comfortable-looking swing for Jet Bandy.
I like the catchers here on this taxi squad. Got some veterans.
Look who's batting again.
Speaking of catchers, huh?
Catcher's day. Third time for Centeno.
Second time in 3 hitters, right, Mike?
Yes. Blair drops down. That fastball, nasty turn down and in.
Oh, and it makes sense, too, if you think about it, guys, because there's always at least one catcher on the Red Sox taxi squad, whether they're at Fenway or they're on the road, and they're not getting these pseudo-live at-bats up there, so they need to get as much repetition down here as possible.
Good point. Blair is a little off with command.
Yep. He had a little bit of bad luck this weekend when he made his second appearance. There were a couple of errors committed on the infield behind him that extended things. Then he walked a few, and now today that it seems to have carried over a little bit. But the hit that we just saw, that smash by Bandy, that's the hardest piece of contact by far and away that we've seen anybody have against Seth Blair.
Yeah, that hit by Bandy. Centeno's been out in front a little bit here on Blair. Bandy at first, and that breaking ball's low.
So, Mike, if you were giving the most ironic or humorous walk-up song to try to get a rise out of a player walking into the batter's box, what would your pick be? I'd give you some time to think about it.
That's ripped to right. Another hit for a catcher. Bandy jogging to second base. I think he's just holding up because there's no right fielder. Well, a reaction. Party in the USA gets a reaction, doesn't it?
That would be good. Miley?
Yeah.
Jim, same question.
Baby Shark, right?
Oh, yeah.
Come on now. That's a layup.
That's a good one. Yep.
This is good right here.
Yeah, this.
Wow.
Well done, boys.
Is that for Cesar? C is for yeah. Puello hitting for the second time. And he was drilled.
I always thought it would be funny if somebody walked up to Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Oh, yeah. Not the old school version.
No, the very slow one. Yeah.
There's a strike. I can't think of who sings that. It's not Bonnie.
Bonnie Tyler.
Bonnie, yep.
It's funny, Mike. I thought you would know that because it's been your ringtone for so many years.
Good slider is low.
Once upon a time, I was falling in love.
I can only think of old school when I hear that song. Is that too old school?
I know what you mean.
Is that movie becoming old school now?
Probably 20 years old now.
Blair fires a strike. And he's throwing a lot of pitches.
And even Puello there backing out of the box, he had to throw the hands up, but it still caught the corner. Just goes to show how difficult it is to pick up.
There's Tapia. He's ready.
Chopping at the bit to throw. There's a pop-up to short right. That's where Duran is. Bandy will hold up as it's cut off.
That's another bad piece of luck. Good pitch. Just a little blooper there by Puello, put into a perfect spot, and that's that for Seth Blair.
and that will roll over the inning. I was just looking at Jet Bandy because Billy McMillan had told him to stop. I wasn't sure if he was going to put him at second base and then simulate something, but so we've had 1 run through 2 innings. Domingo Tapia hops out of the bullpen, and let's turn things over. Actually, before, I want to add to that walk-up song. To truly annoy everybody, I would have Sweet Caroline coming up because it would annoy everybody. Yeah, I'm that guy. Take it away, Jimbo.
Thank you, Mike. Well, there's Domingo Tapia. He is going to come on and pitch what we'll call the top half of the 3rd inning here from Sim City at McCoy Stadium. Earlier start time than we had anticipated. We got the news around 11 o'clock last night via email from Bill Wanless that the start time was getting moved up. Red Sox wanted to be able to bring somebody up to Boston to travel with them to Baltimore if need be, as we talked about last inning with the bullpen getting taxed the last few days. So here's Tapia, the hard-throwing right-hander. We'll see him hit triple digits every now and again. Second one that has pitched in this simulated game. And he'll have Jonathan Lucroy as his battery mate.
Yeah, and it's a good point about taking someone to Baltimore with him. And 1 1/3 innings, Kyle Hart just threw his 41st pitch. That's a lot.
Speaking of long innings, how about the 6th inning last night in that Red Sox
man.
game? How quickly things turned on the bullpen.
Started with a hit batter. But tough for Josh Taylor. He hadn't thrown in back-to-back days, so.
Yeah, they brought him on and didn't fare all that well. Heath Hembree didn't fare too well either after that home run from Bryce Harper. 9th straight loss for the Red Sox.
Philadelphia's been hot on the other side of the coin, guys. The Phillies have now won 4 straight.
So it looks like Marco Hernandez will be the first hitter this inning to face Domingo Tapia. Got 1 outfielder. We've got 3 infielders as we're set to begin play here this inning. Well, Marco had a really nice day at the plate yesterday. Had some great at-bats, had a couple of hits, and he roped a home run into the bleachers in right center in his last at-bat that still somehow, I still don't understand how it traveled further than Jarren Duran's home run, but the numbers don't lie. How about this walk-up song for Marco?
I was just trying to identify it for myself. Anybody?
I don't know.
Is it a show tune? Some kind of.
Wow, that is something. They're really, they're digging into the archives there.
How about The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow?
Oh,
That would be a good one.
that would be a good one. Or like the old Mickey Mouse Clubhouse song.
Oh, yeah, the Mouseketeers.
Yeah.
Marco didn't seem all that enthused by this one.
No, he did not. He's all business.
Marco taking all the way and takes strike 1.
I got a tip, guys. That song we just heard is from Wicked.
Ah, show tune. There you go. Good call, Mike.
It just sounded like it, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
That one dips down and away.
Have I ever given you guys my thoughts on the app Shazam?
You have not.
No.
All right. You got a couple of moments?
Sure do. All yours.
I know that we've, as a society and as a human race, we've done some great things.
This one's ripped into right center. That's down for a hit. Hernandez will pull up at first as Pollo gets it back in.
And Marco's been hitting it well this week, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Another hard hit line drive.
Now I love this song, by the way, ABBA.
That's a good one. All right, continue.
I was just listening to Dancing Queen for a moment.
Love it.
Bobby's got a smile on his face.
He's a big music guy, we know.
All right. So we've put men on the moon. We've invented vaccines. We've done so many things that are just incredible that boggle the mind. There is nothing that has ever been created that amazes me more than the app Shazam. And if you don't know what it is, it's an app. You just press a button, you hold your phone up, and within 1 second, it identifies whatever the song is that's playing nearby you.
I completely agree with
It's
you.
I
amazing.
can't believe somebody has to explain to me how in the world that works.
I completely agree.
And it
I
works
think
for
it's-
TV and in movies too, you know.
It does, yeah. It's magnificent.
How did somebody create that? I mean, there's millions of songs.
I mean, think of all of the times where you're in the car listening to a song on the radio and you think, what is that song called? And then they created an app to fix that problem. It's incredible.
And it's not like you have to hold your phone up to a speaker for like 2 minutes and then finally there's an algorithm that figures it out. It does it instantaneously.
It's incredible.
It's amazing. So, NASA, step aside. Whoever invented Shazam,
Kudos to
I
you.
want that guy running my company.
Ball four to Dahlbeck, and he walks. So the first two have reached against Tapia here in the third.
Now, I've actually hung my phone outside my window calling a game for a player's walk-up song. I have.
Look, they did it. Here it is.
Wow. How about that? That's the walk-up for Jaron Duran.
Now, his is a layup what you can play for him, but he's heard it enough. Hungry like a wolf. He's come up to that before.
Anything by Duran, right?
That's not it's better to be what these guys are doing, more original.
I loved it. Thanks, boys.
Jaron Duran has had one at-bat today. That was against Robert Stock in Stock's second inning of work, and he reached on an error by C.J. Chatham. Interesting hearing Chaim Bloom talk about Jaron Duran earlier today in his Zoom session with the media. As Duran bounces this one to the right side off the glove of Akemi, and the bases will be loaded. Even though Marco Hernandez is held up about halfway between third and home, and he's going to come in and looks like he'll be the next batter to bat.
Use the old ghost runner situation to simulate a man being on third, and tough start to the outing for Domingo. Got a hard hit single, a walk. That ball was hit hard. Tough play for Akemi there, right, Mike?
Yeah, and he's not going to get Duran, and Dahlbeck had a really good jump. He's a good base runner, so you're in the hole. It's a tough play.
Little grease action there for Jonathan Lucroy as he comes to bat. Lucroy takes downstairs. Just to finish up the thought on Duran, I mean, Bloom obviously and the Red Sox like the progress, but he was still careful to say that in this unusual player development environment in 2020, you really kind of want to pump the brakes. It's a guy who still hasn't played above Double-A.
And I think that's the right move. I mean, last year he was an A-ball to start his season. And I know that's changed now. So is Alec Boehm of the Phillies. And he's playing a pretty good third base. That was the knock on Boehm, was his defense. But we're seeing it more and more. A-ball to the big leagues within 2 years.
Lucroy takes up and away. Red Sox in business against Jake Arrieta in the second inning up at Fenway. They have a pair of runners on, nobody out. Christian Vasquez, good to see him back in the lineup. JD Martinez is not in the lineup. He exited last night due to dehydration.
Yeah, I saw they had a Gatorade bottle. They were talking to him. They had an orange Gatorade, and then I just think they said, you know what? It's not worth it.
Well, you hope he's okay. It's not like it was an overly hot night yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a long game.
Lucroy takes a strike.
And with things now, you have to be extra careful.
That was kind of what popped into my mind there.
Lucroy batted against Stock in his second inning as well. Popped out behind the plate. He is tied up on a pitch inside. He did not go around, and that's ball four. So would you give him credit for an RBI with the ghost runner on third?
You bet. We make the rules, right?
Second walk of the inning issued by Tapia, who's had some trouble here in this frame.
I think Marco, who just stepped into the batter's box, should have given an invisible high five to the ghost runner as he crossed home plate. Name the artist on this one, guys.
Oh, could not tell you. Can I
Seal.
Shazam it?
Mike had it. Mike had it. One more time, Mike.
Seal.
Yes.
That one's off the plate. More clouds moving in here. Wasn't a real threat of rain in the forecast, just some clouds. Jim Kane, Mike Antonellis, Josh Maurer here with you once again from Sim City. Down and in.
Boy, Tapia's got such a great arm, but he has innings like this.
Ian Bloom also today had to address the Xander Bogaerts rumors. Yesterday, if you missed it, Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic wrote a story about Bogaerts and the Red Sox possibly exploring a trade for him. I can't believe we're even talking about
I know.
that. But
I saw it on MLB.com, and I said, is this a mistake?
swing and a miss. But Bloom was quick to say that both Bogaerts and Rafael Devers are viewed as cornerstone players, as they should be. But the point of Rosenthal's story was, and there's a few different things to it. First being that, as per Bogaerts' extension, he gets a full no-trade clause once he hits 7 years of service time, which is set to hit on September 6th of this year. The trade deadline is obviously August 31st. So if the Red Sox wanted to trade him on their own terms, they'd have only about 10 days to do it. Bogaerts also has an opt-out after the 2022 season when he hits 30, and that's a year after the Francisco Lindor's, Carlos Correa's of the world hit free agency. So you would think they'd reset the free agent market. So I know that was a lot to it, but that was Rosenthal's point in the story, was that there's more to consider with this, and also with the Red Sox situation being that it is. But yeah, I'm with you, Mike, and Josh. I'm sure you agree. I think that would be heartbreaking for Red Sox fans and Red Sox followers. That would be be tough.
Well, it's hard to see it, especially after the Mookie Betts trade, right?
Yeah,
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Hernandez fouls it back.
But you know what? In this day and age, I don't suppose anybody is really quote-unquote untouchable, right? I mean, if somebody makes you, not to sound too much like The Godfather, if somebody makes you an offer you can't refuse, you have to at least listen.
Well, and also for his position in his contract is amazing, because he's really, at the end of the day, not making a lot, considering a shortstop. They're hard to find, cornerstone shortstops, which he is.
In the ear to left, and it drops. Nobody out there. They would have ruled him out, and they are going to roll over the inning. So, good piece of hitting by Hernandez. He began the inning with the single to right, but that is going to do it for the top half of the third. And that is going to do it for our simulated action today.
Oh, really?
Well, because any more pitchers were on the schedule to work, and since they cut Jeffrey Springs short, we ended up having a shorter afternoon than we anticipated.
So, Tapia, in his inning, faces 5 batters, recorded really only 1 out. And that'll do it here today. So,
I wanted to hear more walk-up songs. I don't know about you guys.
I know. I was
Yeah.
just about to say the same thing. Would have been fun.
We had good material going.
Yeah, right?
It was we're like comics. We had good stuff going, good flow. And should we tell Billy that he cut into our banter here?
Yes.
I'm sure he'd love to hear that.
Let's file an official complaint.
From Sim City to Clubhouse City.
Well, guys, I think the story today was that things got mixed up on us a bit, as we would expect them to be. We thought that Springs was going to go 3, ends up going only 1 inning and looked good in the 1 inning. Robert Stock's scheduled to throw only 1, throws 2. We saw Seth Blair, so I think we go back to the guys on the mound is really the takeaway from today's game.
Yeah, and I think Josh will agree with this. It's all about the big league club. So you think that starting at 1:30, limiting guys has a lot to do with this upcoming road trip.
No question about it, right? Marco Hernandez continues to have a good bat going here the last couple of days. Kudos to him. Josh Ockamy ripped a nice one into right field earlier. So I think the trend of the last week in this alternate training site, we've had ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's being dominated by the pitching. Recently, it's been the hitters, I think. They've certainly kind of grabbed back the momentum here.
They always say in spring training they need so many at-bats, and they'll say, okay, we're ready. I feel like they're ready now. And hopefully, like we said yesterday, we get more guys in here and they can actually play a game.
That would be nice.
That'd be fun.
So we are done after 2.5 innings here today at McCoy. We told you at the end of yesterday's broadcast we thought we'd be back for 4 o'clock, and that got changed. We anticipate going back to 4 o'clock tomorrow, but again, that is the beauty of SimCity. You just never know. Keep it locked to our Facebook and our Twitter for more information. That'll do it for us up here in the booth. For everybody on our production side, Joe Jacobs, Tim Codadamo, Alex Richardson, Dan Fontaine, our broadcast partners Mike Antonellis, Josh Maurer, I'm Jim Kane saying so long from McCoy.